What is going on, everyone? Anthony and Tyler here.
That's me.
That's Tyler. And this is a little review of a movie called PERAL, which is the prequel to Tai West's film X. And this review is going to be spoiler-free until the end, so we can give you a little review without having to worry about us going into any actual details that will give it away for you since it comes out tomorrow. So let's get right into the concept of PERAL, because it is a little bit of a different film than X, with similar themes and stuff that kind of run along through it. But, you know, the overall story sets place during the Spanish flu in 1918 and during World War I, which we...
At the tail end of it.
The tail end of World War I, yeah. And we get to see kind of like a dissection of really the whole family dynamic between where Pearl was at in that time of her life, because we only see her as an older lady in X. And you know, we know there's history. We know that Howard, her husband, was in the war. But this really does kind of dive into what kind of family that she was, you know, being raised up with. And, you know, her father is sick, and her mother is kind of like the hardest working one of them all, but puts a lot of the pressure on Pearl to constantly take care of the father and also to provide, you know, help around the farm. And you see the farm in all its glory. The one thing that I really liked about this film was the artistic difference. That's the first thing I noticed, and I talked to Tyler about it, was the style in which it is kind of going for that Technicolor. Very bright.
First one looked kind of washed out. Not like completely washed out, but...
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where they also have, like, you know, it's more still in certain shots. It's less guerrilla type because of the way X was stylizing the whole, you know, porno shooting guerrilla style, and it kept going back and forth from the perspective of the cameraman to shots of the actual film. So it had more of a guerrilla style. This one, it has an exploitation feel to it, but it's still very bright and clean in its approach on the surface.
Disney
right?
exploitation?
Yeah, like Disney exploitation, which of course was the intention.
Exploitation?
Yeah, it's like that was kind of the intention. You know, it seems like Tai West is definitely going for different stylistic choices with this. But, you know, the one thing I can also give this movie, you know, praise for is the fact that it, you know, has really good actors in this that hold this thing together. I think Mia Goth was just incredible in this. I think the fact that it was being able to focus on just one character and she wasn't playing these two different characters, I'm sure we'll see that in Maxine, but it was awesome to see just like her going pretty much crazy with this family dynamic in mind, because it almost makes you feel a little bit more connected to the character. Now, if you go back and watch X, you probably might feel a little bit more like you have a history with this character now that this is filled in. Like, what did you think about some of the I guess the dynamic between the family, like going into that backstory, because this is really a backstory driven film. You really have to see X to really know what's going on, but I feel like you can also reverse them and get the same effect, like show someone Pearl and then X and be like, oh man, this is, you know. But I don't know, like, what did you think about the overall characters in this film?
I like them. They're kind of the mom.
Yeah,
I like the mom a lot.
Yeah,
because I like that. So they're shown as being German immigrants, which doesn't really do much for the story. It just adds backstory to.
Yeah, you just know like where, like what the family, I guess, where they come from.
Mom, at least. I don't know.
Yeah, and the mom is played by Tandy Wright and is Ruth. Yeah, very very hard and stern. And obviously, you know, definitely makes sure that Pearl knows when she did something wrong. You know, she is, you know, trying to break out of this dynamic on this farm, and that's the one thing I like to see is like how did she try to actually, you know, break into this whole, like, you know, I actually want to be a star, I want to become a star. It's so crazy to see the parallels between her and Maxine on different levels, and I think they're trying to kind of explore that within each film, and I think her performance was awesome. I think that was the highlight.
I think too. I think that it seems like her cinema obsession was more recent, because it seems like she was only kind of doing it when Howard was gone.
Yeah, so
exactly. It's crazy how fast I don't know how normal she was, you know, obviously before.
Right, because it seems like Howard, you know, Howard's away from the war, and of course, again, like, you could definitely see the effect on that. You know what I mean? And how, again, it was a little bit different for her to kind of deal with that, and whether or not she was normal before or she was always like this. It seems like the family kind of implied that.
Yeah,
like there's been always something off here. If anyone's seen the trailer, you know, it's no surprise that, you know, shit does go crazy. It takes a little bit to start going here, but I think the film does have a good pace overall. You know, I think it does set it up where it's about an hour and 40-ish minutes. It gets in, gets out. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's not trying to, you know, beat some message into your head. It's just like, you know, it's still a pretty downright dirty movie in some aspects, but it's kind of cleaner on the surface of things in terms of like how its stylistic changes. So I like that contrast. I think that was one of my favorite things about it. It wasn't like it didn't have like jump scares. It didn't have, you know, in your face like gore as grotesque. It happened, but it's very different. And like I said, without going into spoilers, you'll see kind of that different dynamic there. I thought the kills were worth it, even though they were, you know, a little more spread out.
It was slimmer, but I think it helped.
Yeah, sometimes
because this wasn't a slasher.
Right, it wasn't a slasher, and that's the thing. I think some people might go into this expecting
thriller more. I would say maybe.
Yeah, the people might go in here expecting X, but it is really more of a thriller and just kind of like really filling in this character that really drifts insanity over time. And I think some of the scenes were really intense to the point where you have no idea how it's going to end. You're like, yo, by the time this scene wraps up, what is Pearl going to do? And that honestly kept me interested, you know, to kind of see where she goes.
And it said like Tai is doing a different like respect to a different genre. It said like
horror
each
genre
film.
each time. Yeah.
So like the obvious Texas Chainsaw parallels in X, but this one felt like nothing specific. I want to say like Suspiria, but it's like very like that 60s suspense thriller.
Yeah,
because it kind of is suspenseful. Honestly, it doesn't ramp up until an hour.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say it does kind of keep you invested though. So you know, I don't want people to think it's too slow, but again, don't come in expecting X. And I wonder if Maxine is going to be similar, because it's going to be dealing with different characters altogether. But I like the story, because at first when I saw the trailer for Pearl at the end credits, I was kind of like, I don't know at first. Like I was like, maybe, you know, this might be a hard sell. I didn't know, but because I really liked X, so I was intrigued like everyone else. And I thought that they did a really good job. Like I said, Mia Goth was definitely on it. I think I like X a little bit better, but it's just a preference of mine. It's just like I always like the down and dirty exploitation stuff, Texas Chainsaw.
I'm just more into a slasher than I am an old style thriller suspense stuff.
Yeah, so I guess
nothing against the movie. I liked it.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, nothing against the movie. Like I said, I think it's worth your
That's
time.
Personal taste.
Yeah, if you like X, you're definitely gonna like this, but you might like one over the other depending on your style, depending on what you prefer. Not so much style, but depending on maybe what style of filmmaking you prefer, because the downright dirty and guerrilla style, especially with the sex films and everything being kind of like the underlying theme of X, it clearly has a more gritty approach and 16 millimeter approach, you know. But I like the fact that, again, this is more sleek. It's a little bit more adjusted for that tone. And yeah, I thought that if you liked X, you'll definitely, you know, enjoy this. But I am really anticipating Maxine. I really think that the story and this universe they're creating here really does have me, you know, wanting to see what happens, I think. And that's always a good sign of good writing, where they have, you know, captivating characters, even if they're jumping around different time zones and stuff like that, like different time periods. So
better be sexy.
Yeah, I think the next one is definitely going to explore the porn industry a little bit more, because that's where the character of Maxine was heading. But overall, yeah, like, I guess, you know, if there's any other things you wanted to point out that you liked.
No, I'm a big fan of the mom character. I thought, what was her name? Tandy Wright did a really good job.
Yeah.
Playing like, it's like, I guess she was not totally justified in how she acted, but
you could see where she's coming from, where she really like is trying to show that, you know, the family needs her help and stuff like that, and all the sacrifices that she made and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely again, really good actress. All the actors here are really good. You know, even the projectionist guy, you know, she does run into a projectionist that is, you know, plays the films that she likes to see of the girls dancing and stuff like that. So she does meet some other outside characters that are kind of outside the farm, which I like that layer of it too.
Mentioning the farm, I think it's the same set, unless they just rebuilt the set and repainted it.
I think so. Yeah, you can definitely see obviously the paint is fresher. Everything is. They did a really good job of like showing how dilapidated it gets by the 70s because of that big gap. And here you see it where it's like you can almost see like it was built like within the last 10 years.
And it was nice seeing the whatever they call it, the bunkhouse or whatever that they shot the porn in.
Yeah, they use it as a refugee during the war. They used that cabin.
Just knowing that 60 years later, Kid Cudi's going to be slinging his meat
yeah.
all over that cabin.
Yeah, and and has again like it has a lot of callbacks to X. You'll see a lot of things that you'll be like, oh, okay, I see what they did there.
In the theater, we were like,
yeah, we're like, oh yeah, so that's cool. Like that's what you want to do to connect everything. So it definitely still felt connected, even though it was a different film. But other than that,
like, did Tai West have all that planned out? Maybe from when he made X,
right? Because him and Mia Goth both
wrote
it,
lucky.
Right? So him and Mia Goth both wrote the script. So it's very interesting to see like how they probably played off of what they already had around X, or maybe have an idea of where these characters once were before they wrote that script. Like maybe he had some kind of background to Pearl in X and then just kind of like expanded on that, or maybe he talked to Mia and was like, oh, let's go in this direction. So yeah, I wonder what's behind that creative process, but
I would love, obviously it's going to be a trilogy. I would love a fourth film of just Jackson Hole, him getting started in the porn industry.
Just like constant loop of literal loops. But no, I think there's going to be a really different dynamic for the next one. I wonder what they're going to go with next, but I'm
curious
happy
because I don't know what
like and if it was up to me, I wouldn't have seen even the trailer for this, because in my opinion I still think trailers show way too much nowadays. But I'm happy
sell the product.
Yeah, you got to sell it, but at the same time, to a certain extent, I try. Same thing with Halloween Ends. I'm just like trying to shut that off until it comes out. But yeah, I definitely really enjoyed it. I recommend it. If you like X, go see it. We saw it tonight at a little early screening, and it was cool to see it in theaters because I saw X in theaters, and
I did not, because the trailer put me off.
Yeah, the trailer actually almost turned us off entirely. I thought that trailer was really poor for X, a really poor representation, because the film actually ended up being pretty good. But we would definitely recommend it. And obviously, like I said, we're going to get into spoiler territory now. All right, so now we're going to get into the spoiler discussion, do a quick little 5-minute discussion on the spoilers, maybe talk about our favorite parts that are
I was just thinking,
spoiler.
just mention our favorite parts. I mean, essentially the whole movie is my favorite part.
Yes.
Because I will say the one downside I had, but I think it's more circumstantial, is there's like a 10-minute monologue that she has,
and
like
it's
near
one
the
take.
end, and it's like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I was just zoning out.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah, it was kind of like, the way I kind of took that scene was that she was kind of confessing all of her feelings that she kind of pent up about Howard and about how, and there's a lot of resentment to that. And I thought that was very, like, just crazy to hear her kind of unload all of that, and how she knows she's crazy. She knows she started killing smaller animals and kind of worked her way up, and she's confessing this to her sister-in-law. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where, like, because she does this whole thing where she goes to this competition, and they're looking for this blonde, this American, blonde kind of vibe with
which
this
is
girl.
why how you found out she hates
blondes
in the first one,
because a blonde beat her to the part. And,
even though I don't think she got the part. I think she's on the truth.
Yeah.
And she was just saying, because she was like, don't lie to me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that Mitzi, the sister-in-law, was just like, okay, like,
yeah, no, I
don't think she got it, but then she got this idea in her head that a blonde took it from her. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You don't know, and I think that's what I like about it, but she seemed, just from her body language, it seemed like she got the part. It's just the way she said it, but I don't know. You're right. She said it in a way where it could easily been like she was just saying yes, but why would you do that if you thought in that moment that because you can cut that tension with a knife. When it cuts back to her sitting at that table, I love that scene, because I love how she walks out and the camera just pans back, and then you just see her walk out, and I'm like, she's grabbing something, and I just love that, like, subtlety of just her grabbing something, and then she just begins to run behind her with the axe. There's something really well done about that shot that I really enjoyed. Pearl's just a savage, man. I love.
She's annoying.
I know.
Annoying.
She definitely can.
Combining her character from X to this one, it's like, do you ever stop whining?
Yeah, I mean, I was gonna say with this, it's more like she does whine a lot because she's not getting what she wants, but she's also like, the reason why she's acting the way she is because she's crazy, because she's not all there. So it's almost like you're seeing her mentally break down and have these like complete breakdowns and hissy fits when she doesn't get what she wants. And it comes back to bite her in the ass, because one of my other favorite scenes, spoiler territory, is the whole like setting the mom on fire with the dress. That was an immediate engulfed in flames.
But that's the best part that I like about the mom, because they get in a slap fight and they start yelling at each other.
Yeah, like it gets to the point where they completely unload on each other because they are pissed. And yeah, it ends up in the dad watching the mother get burned.
Who's a vegetable? Dad got the Spanish flu and is a vegetable in the wheelchair. And so
he can't do anything. He's just watching it and he's terrified. And I also love the scene where she's like about to feed him to the gator, and you just see the wheels rolling on the, and you're like, is she gonna dump him in?
Same gator from the first movie?
That's what I'm thinking, right? Because like how long
last that long?
That's what I was thinking. I was like, could this be the same gator? But I don't know. Regardless,
they've probably been feeding him the whole time. Like
that's the thing. Same thing with the projectionist, the car going into the river. I thought that was a great touch.
She stabs the dude, so she's like, you're gonna take me to Europe, and then kills him.
Yeah.
She can't take you to Europe now.
No. But I love that. I love how fast she is, because she is like Michael Myers in terms of how she appears behind people.
Wearing a dress and boots.
And just like, I love that scene where he looks back at the barn and she's already next to him and it's already too late and just stabs him. That was great. Him driving off. That's the thing. It's like the kills were spread out, but they were really well done and effective, and I thought they were always entertaining. And they do deliver on the gore. While it might not be as grotesque as X, there's still the gore factor here that is very well done. But I like I like that whole story with her kind of like trying to branch out, and she talks to the projectionist, and he's a bohemian, so he just kind of like lives on where he can just pack up and go. But he has a car.
But he also got a job.
And he had a job, I guess. But she obviously, sleeps with him right after she kills her parents, which is, basically kills them at that point. They're pretty much dead. Smothers her dad, too. So that was very, again.
That was a mercy killing, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is again, like that, I just like seeing the in and outs of the character and kind of what made her and what pretty much disappointed and fractured her life. And that's kind of what Pearl is. It's just like, it's all about her and her her selfish, why can't I have what I want? And that really comes back to bite her in the ass. And I thought that was a pretty good overall, just like way to kind of go about that.
That's what I was saying. Like the whole movie, family. She's like, I don't want to be stuck on this farm forever. And then as you find out next, like she dies on the farm.
Yeah, exactly. So. Yeah, she literally dies on the farm. And, on top of Howard having a heart attack, it's like they all pretty much die on that farm. And at the end, with Howard coming in and seeing the dead like dinner, which I thought was just a great, like I just thought that was fascinating, like the rotting pig and the family. There's her just trying to maybe have like one last meal with them is how I took it. And he comes in and she's just like smiling, and she starts crying as the credits roll. Like all the credits roll, and she's just smiling into the camera as it just shrinks. Like I just thought that was just funny. Like
which I would love to see how he took that between Pearl and X, like, because then like, so she killed his sister, and it's like,
yeah, how did he find out that your sister's dead and still stay with her? Did she go crazy on him? Is that why he they stayed? But a lot of those questions probably won't even be
they won't be
answered. But it's just, I like that there's still some mystery behind it. Like I feel like there was enough development in here and backstory to where I wasn't like, well, what, that doesn't make sense. Like you can see where she started to snap. And this was
like, I don't even mind about I just feel like it's like a snapshot. It's like, I don't really need answers. I didn't need answers the first time.
Right. Yeah, no, exactly. Because X was just more of like we thought it was, a more down and dirty type film. And that had obviously some reason of like why these characters were there to begin with. Like there's more to just the farm than just some farm that they're shooting at. It's like, no, there's history here. So I like that whole building a universe. And it doesn't feel like, boring or anything.
I don't need like an answer to everything.
Yeah, no, exactly.
I'm curious about how he responded to all that, but not like plot hole. Like,
right, you just know in the end he stayed with her, and he came back from the war and he stayed, and they stayed on the farm. So whatever, you just assume that they fixed. Obviously, she still had problems when she was older, just like anyone else does. Like, but she ran into that problem where she hit a wall.
It makes you wonder though. It's like if she's just crazy, and then between Pearl and X, like they bought a TV, he got a truck.
Yeah,
I assume he's still a farmer at that point.
I'm assuming he probably just came back and worked a job and worked the farm, and he probably did what he had to. I'd assume so. And again, like we see at that point, like her prime passed her, and I think that was the whole kind of theme of that, of like, you know, you're getting older, your prime passing you, and that was the overall theme of X. Right, when she didn't have a prime. Right, but when she was in her prime, she didn't succeed to show off what she wanted to. You know what I mean? And I think that's like the thing, is like she pretty much got completely stopped and stunted with everything you see in this film. And again, I thought it wrapped it up great. You know, but yeah, I would recommend it. I definitely would, you know, pick this up. Like I would get this along with X. Yeah. So
I'm gonna have to if I get the poster.
I think that's how we'll rate some of these reviews. Be like, would we pick it up physically? Because I don't like the whole number ranking system. I feel like sometimes that could be very
like,
pigeonholy. Like people could be like, oh, well, why are you doing this number? Why are you doing that number?
We could put like, make it like streaming or like Blu-ray purchase. Or
yeah, some kind of double toasted esque, but come up with our own original ones for sure, you know. But yeah, like as far as like will we actually pick this up, like as horror fans, I think this explores enough different stuff to where it's not repetitive and
in the style of Tarantino and Video Archives. This film was fucking fantastic.
Fucking fantastic.
And then Roger laughing in the back.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's it for Pearl. Go check it out. Thanks for watching this review. Stay tuned for more reviews and more content on Inocula Productions. Take care, guys.